employee training and when they get through this other stuff that's going on with the brand in town, that the details of when those are going to be, we were kind of sharing ideas about, where they can hold it in the community and how we can help out. So just keep your eye on our Facebook page for a lot of stuff that way. So let's get,
okay.
We only have an hour, so
I know. So
Julie
gets the ding, 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 because she also posed the question that was the big one tonight, as what's going on, or what do you know is going on with Santini Plaza?
Well, it's I talked to the owner at length again this morning. Been trying to be a liaison for the owner to try to help him with permitting and other challenges. We had a real challenge with FP&L getting the transformers fixed and up and running at Santini Plaza. That has been completed. I just walked behind Santini Plaza yesterday. The transformers, it looks spectacular. Everything looks brand new. And the owner is still wrestling with a couple challenges. He's got a permit that he had to resubmit to the fire department on the firewalls for Santini Plaza. I reached out to the chief and Jackie Lisak, who's a fire commissioner and our head of the chamber, this morning, and asked for some help to see if we could get that expedited. And he's also got an outstanding permit he's still resolving the lighting issue for Santini Plaza, and the town is working very closely with him. We're owed actually an additional proposal for him on the lighting, which will turn around very quickly. And so the town, the fire department, everybody understands, FP&L, that this is a key asset for the town and impacts a lot of folks on the island, not only the business owners, which are desperately waiting to get in, but certainly the folks on the island, particularly the south end, who really, the Santini Plaza is such a pivotal fixture for our island. So those are the two obstacles that he's wrestling with. Again, I'm not making any excuses for anybody. Everybody's frustrated with how long it's taken. But the owner of this business, and quite frankly, every condo board president, every resident, every small business owner, after a storm like Ian, they're working under the premise that they have insurance, and that insurance is going to be responsive and going to respect and honor the contract that they signed. And certainly folks have been, you say it all the time, Ed, everybody's been dutiful about paying their premiums, and then push comes to shove, and then they're basically told to go pound sand. And I think the owner at Santini Plaza has had some real challenges with his insurance company, as everyone else has. And, he's paying for a lot of these things out of his own pocket. He lives on the East Coast, so it's taken a while for him to sort of adjust. And again, everybody's working under this premise that, first of all, nobody expects Ian, but second of all, that your insurance is going to do what it's supposed to do. And so that's been part of the challenge at Santini Plaza. I think what his approach is, and I hope I don't want to speak out of turn, but I think he's got a real estate broker who's going to reach out to all the tenants and prospective tenants with an agreement, kind of stating what he's going to rebuild on the inside in terms of prepping before they hand over the keys, what the rents will be, and then if the tenants want to sign up, and he certainly wants them all to come back, they'll be asked to sign this document then, so they know exactly what the owner of the building is going to do, and that what they'll be responsible for as tenants to the store or to their stores. And so I think he's going to work through that kind of an agreement. We're hoping that the keys can be turned over to the merchants and the tenants sometime in January. That's certainly the goal. And I was talking a little bit with the owner. I said, do you have anything interesting or new that you've seen with respect to your tenants? And he said that one of the things that I've watched your tours, Ed, which have been great of Santini Plaza. One of the things that was different or new that I heard, and again, nothing's in concrete, all of this is fluid, but he's been negotiating pretty strong for a hardware store, where the original hardware store would be, maybe even picking up additional store next door, which was that doctor's office. And that would be great if we could get a hardware store to continue to be in Santini Plaza. I know they're working on a shipping store, like they had a UPS store there before, which is great because the post office is on the other end of the island, so it's nice to be able to mail stuff.
Jim, I don't mean to interrupt, but a couple of things I wanted to ask about that you mentioned. So even if somebody gets their keys in January, it still could be several months before any single place opens, because they do then they get the kind of the okay to do their own work, and that could be a little, that could be a lot. Like a liquor store probably just needs shelves and some inventory, but other places like a restaurant need a lot of time.
Yeah, that's exactly correct. And so the openings will be staggered based upon exactly what you just said. And that'll be frustrating for us residents on the south end. But at the same time, once the keys get turned over, I would not underestimate what these owners and the businesses have already begin preparing for. I mean, we've talked to Anita a number of times, and she's chomping at the bit to get going. And once she gets those keys, I would not underestimate Anita or any of those business owners to get moving very quickly. I'm going to be working closely with the town manager to make sure that, a lot of those permits will be similar. And so hopefully we can work with our new permitting a company that's helping the town, and we can work on an expedited process, because you'll have a litany of stores with similar requests. And if we could bundle those and get those permit requests through quickly, and I'm sure the fire department will want to do the same thing, because they're involved in commercial properties as well. So you're right. I mean, the openings will be based on each individual business owner's ability to get up and running, and it'll vary greatly. Now, some of the restaurants have already ordered their kitchen equipment, and they're in a store room somewhere. They're waiting. They're chomping at the bit to get going. So it will be staggered, and we may not see some open before the end of season. We may see some open before the end of season. That's certainly the goal, and that's certainly my hope.
So, Jim, you mentioned the firewall permits, and I did look at something today that was in the system. Did they install all the drywall incorrectly, or is that an overstatement of what happened?
I think they needed some additional direction, or the fire department asked for some additional or gave them some additional direction, and I think that they needed to respond to that direction. And then once the fire department approves their plan, then they'll go ahead and finish all that installation of that drywall. So I don't think it's all in. I think they're trying to agree on the proper procedure, and then once that's agreed upon, they'll hit that ground running.
Okay.
The owner's prepared to get going very quickly. That blessing from the fire department.
Okay. And lastly on that, there was a rumor, I don't know, I want you to put an end to it, that people had heard and were asking about that he was running out of money. I'm sure it can't be cheap. So go ahead.
No, absolutely not. There's no rumors like that. He's very committed. You could see, and you could tell in his voice that he's very anxious to get things going. He's hearing from all the vendors. He wants this thing to be successful. He's obviously still negotiating with his insurance company as well, and he's hoping to get a conclusion to that, which will really help as well. So he's under a lot of pressure, and so there's definitely a sense of urgency there. And no, I think this thing is really close to a go. And I think once we get these two permit issues resolved, which should not be a big issue at this point, then he'll finish their work, and then those keys will get turned over again, hopefully sometime in January, hopefully early January, but hopefully by the end of January, hopefully mid-January. It just depends on how this permitting process goes and what it takes. I mean, that the power piece was a big deal, and to credit again to FP&L to get out there, they put in brand new equipment through their contractors, and it looks great. I would say too, since we're talking about this, I had a chance to reach out to the folks who own the Fishtail restaurant right behind and next to Santini Plaza. That's owned by the Phelan family, and they unfortunately are not going to be opening until not this season, but the following season, the 2025 season. Again, went for a walk through there yesterday and went into the restaurant, and it probably shouldn't have, but I was just curious. And you could see where the water came through, and you could see the lines, literally, that little bar inside. It was beautiful. They have a beautiful venue there, and that bar inside there, it was probably 4 or 5 feet above the bar counter. The water just surged through there. The building itself, I'm no structural engineer, but looked pretty decent. So hopefully they'll get that up and running. Of course, this family owns the Pinchers and the Deep Lagoon and the Chops. I'm sorry, the Blue Lagoon and the Chops restaurants. I don't think they know exactly what that's going to be. I don't know if they're going to keep the Fishtail name or if they're going to go to the Blue Lagoon. There's all kinds of things floating around. I think they're going to reassess that as they move forward. But it'll be great to see.
But I just want to make sure we're on the same page. You said 2025 season. Did you mean 2024?
No, 2025 for the rantment.
Yeah.
So skipping the whole next year right into 25. Wow.
Just for this particular restaurant behind Santini Plaza. Santini Plaza, January of this year. Keys hopefully turned over to the owners. Again, staggered opening based upon how long it will take each owner to get their particular business where they need it or where they want it before they open. And some may open a little early and still be working on their place. I mean, I assume they have a right to do that. So hopefully, again, the town, the fire department, everyone will work closely with them, kind of help them with the permitting process so we can keep moving very quickly, because it really is the lifeblood of the south end of the island. A lot of people throughout the island use it, but it's the lifeblood. And then, of course, with the CVS and the 7-Eleven, which we'll talk about in a minute, we'll have a real
jumping ahead here, Jim. I know how you filibusters sometimes, so I want to make sure we get it all in. You're talking about the south end, and I want to see if you can give anyone an update on the Windom property.
The Windom property, that's a little bit interesting. I have spoken to the owner numerous times, offering again to help answer questions, talk to prospective redevelopers, and they have a lot of folks have looked at that property. They've talked to a lot of redevelopers, and nothing formal at this point has been announced. I've heard a number of different things about folks within the family redeveloping. There is a desire to redevelop a hotel there and a restaurant, and